Hey guys, yes, it is that time again. Let's work on some predictors. I think I'd mentioned this a couple of recent videos. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a bunch of predictors. I had 4 of them dropped off in the last week, and I believe I have 4 of my own. These are all going to be the 17-inch variety. I think we have 2 or 3 debutantes and 1 Siesta, and the rest are princess models. You may recall a while ago I got 2, I think they're both beige princesses with a UHF option. We did a brief power up on them. They definitely are restoration worthy. I have a Siesta I got about a decade ago that kind of works on the original parts. We're going to do that one. And I have a debutante that I did a video on. We did a power up and a puff of smoke came out. And so we're going to do that one. And then I had just dropped off, coincidentally, I think all 3 beige princesses and a brown debutante, I think. So we're going to, well, alright, so I need to get organized if I'm going to do 8 predictors at once. And there's a reason why I wanted to line them all up, is they all have the same chassis and same picture tube. These are all the 17-inch type with the metal chassis and a power transformer. So first thing we want to do is do a little triage checkout on all of them. I've already checked out all of mine, and I've done some, I'm starting to do some checking out of the customers' sets. I'm going to be pulling out all the main boards simultaneously and doing restuffing all 8 boards at the same time. I'm going to be using reproduction couplates. That's going to make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to order up 8 sets of them. Hey, first segment filmed on the new workbench. It's not quite ready yet, but it's good enough to do a little more of our triage work. Now, word spread online that I was working on some predictors, and I was contacted by someone, so we now have a 9th 17-inch set to work on, sort of. He was going to do it himself until he pulled out the main board and saw that it had some issues, and he just sent me that board, I do believe, and that's what's in here. So let's take a quick look at that. And I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. So I did a video a while back talking about myths and facts and misconceptions about predictors. And something I touched on in that video I'm going to touch on again here, and that is the reputation that these sets have as being difficult to work on. Well, you're going to see how this goes. I expect some of these are just going to be a matter of replace all the stuff, and it's going to need some adjustments, and it's going to work fine. Other sets are going to need a little bit more surgery. But one thing I've seen over and over again, and especially lately, because it kind of ebbs and flows with the interest in these sets, and right now interest seems to be red hot. There's a lot of them for sale, a lot of them changing hands, and a lot of folks wanting to work on them, and I see this again and again, almost every week now. Somebody says, I've never worked on a TV before, but I've worked on a few radios, or it doesn't look that hard, or I watched some videos, so I'm going to give it a shot. Inevitably, they run into problems. So I'm not to single out anybody or to criticize anybody, but it seems to me that a lot of the reputation that these sets get as being difficult to work on is because folks working on them have never worked on one before, or have never worked on a TV and don't have any test equipment suitable for TVs. And they run into an issue that might not be all that serious, they just aren't sure where to go from there. I've also seen some really horrible hack repairs, which is what I do believe we're going to be seeing here in a moment. So is this all just packing material? I think so. Double boxed. Awesome. Let's save all that for when I send it back to him. Now, I didn't get a good look at the whole board on both sides, but just the one shot I got of one problem area. Holy moly. It's a little ugly, but we'll see what we can do. Oh, he included Control harnesses, okay. I couldn't remember, again, it's been a couple of years since I worked on one of these. Oh, so, okay. You could have unwrapped all the wires for the control harnesses. I didn't expect him to send me those. I thought I was literally just getting a circuit board. Sorry for the bad lighting. Let me see if I can rig something else. So that's one of the issues I have to deal with before using this workbench full time. Right now I just have a little clip-on lamp. The main fluorescent light up here is dead. I want to replace this whole unit, and the wiring up here is pretty... well, I need to trace it out. It looks like they used this lamp as a junction box for some other circuits, so I can't just replace it. I need to sort out the wiring mess. Anyways, I'll try to find another clip-on lamp. So, yeah, this is the main board out of a 17-inch Predicta. With the control harnesses, I guess it's just as well he sent these to me so that I can see if the controls are okay too. He did disconnect vertical linearity control though, which I guess you'd have to, but those can be problematic, so we'll just have to deal with that at his end. Now for the good, the board hasn't been worked on. That's what I like to see. Pretty sure I'm seeing that right. I don't think anything has been replaced, but here's a look at things to come. You're going to be seeing this board a lot. So we're going to be rebuilding a whole bunch of these. This is the heart of the TV. It's why I like working on these. It's a very compact chassis. Power supplies on the main chassis, and most of everything's on this. So once you pop this out, and normally I disconnect all this wires, just have a little circuit board to work on. Alright, so what's the big deal with this? Why is this one a mess? Because of this. Well, it's actually not as bad now that I see it in person. So what he saw that was concerning is this corner. That is where the damper and horizontal output tubes go. And it looked kind of charred on his photo, but now I realize no, it's not. Somebody coated it with conformal coating. I thought this red stuff, was it getting fried? No, that red stuff is goo somebody put on there. I thought maybe they had replaced the socket too, but no, I think that's the original socket. So, what did they do? It looks like they reflowed the solder using God knows what. Something with insufficient wattage rating, I'm guessing. And for some reason they reinforced this connection, which is ground. But I can see the trace there, and the trace looks fine. What I did notice, though, is that this capacitor, the lead came off. I wonder if that was the real problem, and whoever was hacking around on this circuit board didn't realize that. Or God, could somebody have used a propane torch on this area? So this is what I mean. It's not that this is difficult to work on, it's whoever did it was incompetent or didn't have the right tools, because I don't know what problem they thought they were trying to fix, but they just looked like they just made a mess. But I don't see any lifted traces or broken traces or charred anything. They just have a bunch of cold solder joints and a bunch of conformal coating, which hopefully we can dissolve without too much trouble with lacquer thinner. Alright, so, but the real thing we want to look at now, so that's going to be one of the projects. I'll have to get another set of cup plates to do this one, or I'll use one that I bought for one of my sets, and I'll just hold off on doing one of mine for a while. But next thing we want to look at is when I do triage and another one of the complete sets. So this is Tom's second set. This is a debutante, and this one's kind of interesting, because this is one that was intended for motel use, motel use from the get-go. How do I know that? Because there's no antenna hole, and it's got a label on here. Background music on channel 7, and instructions on how to use the TV. So this came out of a hotel motel. It also has a very short power cord that I had not seen before. Might not be the original though, because this is not the kind of plug these sets would have come with. Maybe the original plug was frayed and somebody cut the cord shorter and put this on it. And it's kind of cute that the color of the cord matches the color of the set and the back. So it's a beige, it's a debutante, it's not a princess like the others. Dead giveaway for a debutante with one door, no arms. Which is kind of a nice look, it's sort of floating on the cabinet. That bench lamp was a bad idea. Let me get something else. I'll get the hang of recording video up here soon enough. What I really hope to do is get an overhead camera going. Anyways, so one dead giveaway is the lack of arms supporting the CRT. The other is it has grill cloth covering the whole front. His is in fairly good shape, as is the whole sub. We have all the knobs. I'll have to double check. I think that's correct, but it might not be. Yeah, fine tune. I'm not as familiar with debutantes. I've done one other, actually for Tom, and I have one that I haven't restored yet. Let's see, it's missing a foot. Yeah, I think. Or not. Are all the feet there? No, they're all there. Okay. Head's a little loose. I just need to get the screw tightened down. So, the important thing is, let's look inside. It has MS100 written on it, both back of the CRT housing and the back of the set. I have no idea what that means. So yeah, it's my understanding that towards the end of the Predicta run, they focused on selling off the remaining inventory of 17-inch sets to hotel motel chains. Don't know the exact logic behind that, but that's what they did. So all the screws are here, and the back has very little sign of distress, which is a good sign that it hasn't been worked on, or at least if it has, not much. Antenna connectors are a little. So there are leads that go into the antennas on all these Predictas, and you need to disconnect it from the back, and over time the wiring can harden a little, so it'll be a little tricky to get them out. What you do to the back side. Okay, what have we got? Wow. I think this is 100% original. Getting one of the tubes out, this is why I caught right away. It's a Philco branded tube, Philco Cool chassis. They really pushed that on their early 60s sets. Yeah, they kept making sets after their bankruptcy and Ford bought them out. If you recall seeing my Town and Country restoration series, that was like a 60 or 61, I think. And all the tubes had Cool chassis on that as well. Yeah, it just has a thick layer of dust. Even the vertical linearity control appears to be original, or at least, or if it is replacement, they replaced it with one that's the proper type. This does make me inclined to try powering it up and see what we get. I'll have to put this tube back in, of course. 6BQ5, that's the audio output tube. Yeah, let's just go for it. I'll get my PR57, which is current limiting and overload protection, so we will be alright. Dug up a cheater cord, plugged in. Something else I think bears mentioning is I'm not intending these videos to be a step-by-step tutorial on how you can repair a Predicta. I'm making these videos because I want the owners to see what I'm doing to their sets as I work on them. They can see the progress, they can see what went into them, and I hope it entertains you all. and maybe you get some sense of what it takes to get an old TV working, but I don't expect to see super details on every step of the process, especially not when I've got this money to get through. Alright, so you can watch the screen, I'm going to watch the back, and we're going to reduce the lighting a little bit, and keep an eye on the current draw. So these are push-on, push-off sets. I can't tell right now if it's in the on or the off position because I don't have the power applied, and normally there'd be a light behind the fine-tuning, so we're just going to have to see what happens. No current draw. Okay. Hopefully the switch isn't bad. Nope, switch is good. Pegged my meter on the 1.5 amp scale. Now it dropped down to about 3/4 of an amp. All the tubes are lit. We have static out of the speaker. Current draw is going up to about 1.25. We have static, which is staying pretty loud even with the volume all the way down. Oh, goodness. Hey, that is all that I want to know. Awesome. Once again, Tom has dug up a great set. Even the power switch works. Collapsed vertical is like the most common issue with vintage TVs. They run on lower frequencies. They're more susceptible to leakage in capacitors. We replaced the vertical output caps. We'll get that vertical height right back. The tuner responded to me tuning it. We got static hiss out of the speaker. We got high voltage. The CRT lit up. All the major components are just fine in this set. This should be a breeze. Hopefully I won't regret saying that. But out of these sets, this one is one of the better ones for sure. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but there's quite a color difference between the main CRT housing and this back. It makes me wonder, did this come from another set? It should be kind of in between these two from all the sets I've seen. Maybe they were all this color originally, but over time, and especially with cigarette exposure, they get darker. Some of this will probably wash off with some good cleaner. That's really all I want to do with this set right now. I can see the circuit board appears to be all original. I'm going to put the back on this set and move on to another one. Alright, this should be all I need to restore this set, for example, aside from tubes. What I did is I went through the SAMs and the Philco service info, both of which have some minor errors, and put together a list of all the parts, the bulk of which are resistors. Couplates I got from TV Restorer guy. Bought one of these for each set. And the rest of it is this handful of electrolytics. So that takes care of the power supply, filtering, vertical output, boost, and audio output to cathode bypass. Got the power resistor you used for dropping. Generally speaking, I oversized all the resistors by 50 to 100%. Give ourselves some extra headroom. All the paper caps will get replaced. There aren't all that many, really. For example, the IF board I don't think has any. I think it's all ceramic and maybe a mica or two. These are all polyester film. They will work just fine. A lot of the caps too are on these cup plates. There are ceramic caps inside these. So it's not that many. Not as many as you'd see in a radio. And then a whole mess of resistors. That's why I said it's not that bad. So again, we take a look at this circuit board. We're going to be, so here's one of those power resistors, for example. With this wiring disconnected, this is much easier to work on. and then we're going to be replacing all the parts. Now you might be wondering, why would I want to replace every resistor? Because I do have every resistor that's on this board, I have a replacement for. Because by the time you test it, you could have just as well replaced it. Well, especially for the ones where there's some other component on the board that's going to affect your resistance reading, and you have to lift up a leg to accurately check it. By the time you've lifted up a leg and you've gotten out your meter and you've checked it, you might as well just clipped it out and popped in a new one and moved on with your life. Again, that's my philosophy, especially because I want to do this like an assembly line thing. I don't want to have to think. I just want to blow through the boards one by one and focus on not making any mistakes rather than testing everything. So this is not a repair. I don't even know if I call it a restoration so much as we're going to rebuild this thing. But yeah, that's all it takes. Now, money-wise, yes, this was a few bucks. I forget exactly what he charges for these. I think it's in the $40 to $50 range. And some of these caps, yeah, they're pretty pricey. 220 microfarad, 250 volt, low ESR, 105 degree temperature rated. That's like a $5 cap right there. So altogether, it's about $100 worth of parts, and we're not even talking tubes yet. If we had to replace all the tubes too, we're talking $150 in parts maybe for top of the line quality stuff.